You're listening to Rodney Rogers Outdoors Radio, where we turn it upside down and look at the outside from the inside out. It's safe, it's legal, and we're having a blast. So put your shoes on, my friend, because we're going outdoors.
Welcome to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. I am Rodney Rogers. That right there is my coach. Just partner coach Easy Crime.
Can I set a mood or what?
Dude, you just that was an awesome mood.
If you were to join the circus, I'm just saying.
If I was to join the circus.
What act?
Oh.
What performer would you be?
I'd be the fire eater guy.
Really?
Not that I could do it. I just know I'd have the guts to try.
You spit that? Is that something you've thought about before? Childhood dream?
No. My childhood dream was to be the lion trainer. That was
so somewhere along the line you
a fire eating
jumped.
lion trainer. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? What would you be? Threw you for a loop.
I think something with the I think the
Trapeze.
trapeze, yeah, something with the
Nice,
aerial
okay. I
would
got
be
you.
appealing to me.
I got you. This is our 1 hour vacation for the night. Mike the Man McCoy himself. You can reach us at 262-345-7763. You can see it right at the bottom of your home screen. You can also shoot us a Twitter tweet. You can tweet us at hashtag RROR, and that'll go right to Mike's face. That question will go right to him. He'll scream it into the mic, of which it'll go through a bunch of wires. It'll come to my ears, and we'll answer that question. This is absolutely our 1 hour vacation we look forward to every Tuesday night. If you're just listening on the iTunes podcast, you can also watch us on RodneyRogersOutdoors.com.
Yep.
You can also see us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Or the YouTube channel. It is live as well on the YouTube channel.
Oh, it is live as well on the YouTube channel. Okay. And obviously on the YouTube channel. So, whoo, that was a mouthful right there. That was the intro from...
Well, as always, we've got a lot to talk about.
As always, dude.
But let's catch up, because you actually had an interesting weekend that I have not heard anything about.
I have not,
So
yeah.
I want details. I want the juice. I want the
So,
goods.
we, obviously, if you've listened to our podcast any length of time, we had Joe and Luke Simons with Salt Strong on our show. We actually had Joe.
Yeah.
And I was on Luke and Joe's show.
Right.
Salt
Strong.
No, it's Fish Strong.
Fish Strong, yeah.
And they have a podcast as well, which you and I listen to pretty religiously. So I was on their podcast. So it was actually great to put, and I'm sure the honor was all there seeing me, but it's a little narcissistic.
Always is.
Right?
Always is.
No, it was great to see him when I got there early Saturday morning or Sunday morning.
Well, first of all, they had an event. You didn't just show up at their doorstep, of course, right?
No, I'm sorry. Yes.
They're like,
Luke. They had a
Joe.
picnic. I'm here. Y'all should come see you anytime. I'm here. It was odd at 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way.
I'm early. So they had a picnic.
So they did have a picnic. They had a Salt Strong picnic, which I think would be awesome.
Advertise, huh?
We'll steal that thing, man. We'll steal the picnic idea.
Well, I don't think a picnic is an original idea. I think you're allowed to have your
picnics
own.
without saying you stole it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put up your own banner, probably. But.
Actually, what had happened, a listener said, hey, let's do a picnic. And that's what they did.
So where'd they have it at?
They had it at a picnic island over in Tampa.
Okay.
I've never been there. I will tell you, to get to Picnic Island, the island itself is beautiful. The water is awesome. But to get there, it seems like you're going to get mugged any second. Not
really?
because it's in a bad area. It's just in a nothing out there area.
Is it
old?
You can drive out then?
Yeah, you can drive out. And it's old boat docks and old,
cool.
Just like the old shipping
A
yards.
lot of character.
Yeah, a lot of character. So it was spooky getting there. Once you're there, you go, wow, this is really cool. So I showed up Sunday morning, 6 o'clock, 30-ish.
Because they was fishing part of the picnic?
They had a little free fishing tournament. And here's what they had. They had, if you catch a flounder, you got a flounder shirt. If you caught a grand...
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you caught a grand slam, which was a trout, a redfish, and a snook, an inshore slam. There's several types of inshore slams.
Sure.
Then you got their slam shirt, which had had all that on it, which was absolutely awesome. And then they had the red with the most spots.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the most spots. So on the tail of a red, there's a spot, and some of them have as many as,
Wow.
300 spots. I mean, you can be relentless. So if you got the most spots, then you got a redfish T-shirt, which is pretty awesome. So I caught 5 trout.
Okay.
I didn't, and I was fishing on the paddleboard, man.
Well, the other thing, were people out on boats, or this was
Yeah,
all shore fishing?
yeah, it was whatever boat you wanted to bring.
Okay.
I mean, this was inshore. There was flats boats out there. There was 15 people total, I think. I was the only one on a paddleboard, I believe. The only guy on a paddleboard. I figured there'd be way more.
Interesting.
There was more kayaks than anything. I was actually pleased to see that I caught more on the paddleboard than most guys did.
There's about 3 stories in one here. First of all, was this your first time actually fishing on the paddleboard?
Yes, this was my
official. So that was a pretty bold move on your part.
Yes.
Having this be the launch party for your.
Right. You know me, Mike.
Oh, I know. Doesn't surprise me.
It's how I do.
I meant a bold move for anybody other than you.
Right. I was kind of intimidated because I was like, okay, all these guys, we're all going to be fishing here. I'm getting on for the second time ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever. And mind you, the first time was only about 10 minutes.
And you didn't fish, right?
I tried to fish.
You tried, okay.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was just a disaster. So in my head,
you had it all figured out.
I had it all figured out. Yeah. And that's...
Oh, this turned into like 5 stories now. It was 3. Actually, it was 1.
Okay, so here we go.
This could be the show because I got a lot of questions.
I'm taking forever to unload this paddleboard because I'm kind of surveying,
sure. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking around.
Yeah.
None of them know what serious fisherman I am.
You're looking for all the other paddleboarders so you can kind of gather up with them.
Yeah, exactly. Birds of a feather kind of thing. Well, I was the only feather from this particular.
I'm sure they'll be here shortly.
Everybody was in the water but me, so I thought, okay, well, all the kayakers got to be gone. The flats boat dude, he'll never see me. So let me get my paddleboard out. So I got to make 5 trips. It's a half a mile. So I got to make 5 trips to get all this stuff out. I finally get to the water. I strap down my little, I got a milk crate with a rod holder on it. I wish I had 2. I now know I need 2. So I get out in the water, and I get on the board, and I'm like, okay, don't fall. This is literally what's going through my head. Don't fall, balance, foot here, foot, don't fall. Don't even look at the rods right now. If you left them on shore, we'll just we'll do a big circle and act like, I meant to leave them on shore.
Yeah.
It took about 10 minutes to even look back to see if I had them behind, Okay, I got 2 rods. I didn't leave anything back on shore. So I got a dry bag and I got everything, so. All righty, so I grab my pole behind me. I brave it out. I make the first cast.
Did you fall?
I caught a flounder.
No way.
Yeah, way. As I'm excited. I just got a fish, man.
Yeah.
At this point,
this was your
I'm
first
successful.
fish.
My first official hookup.
Yeah.
I'm reeling it in. The flounder comes off the hook just as it's over my paddleboard, lands on the paddleboard and sticks like I licked a postage stamp. It just stuck. And I thought, awesome. Now, they give you this sticker called No Bananas on Board. I should have brought it in. And it says, no bananas on board. And you got to take a picture with a fish and the sticker. So it's official. You caught it right then and there.
Right, yeah.
So,
oh, I see.
As
sure.
I'm going down, because you can't rush down.
Smart move on their part.
Yes, it is. So you can't just hurry up and bend down and try to attack a fish.
Yeah.
You got to ease down. So as I'm easing down, it made the fish floppy, and then he slid off my board. So I was like, that's no big deal because I caught that on the first cast.
Yeah.
I mean, surely they're stacked up here waiting to come into my basket. There's just, so, yeah, they weren't. That was the only flounder that I hit that day. So I'm going across, and I go, put my rod in the rod holder, I got it strapped to my board. I'm looking good, dude.
Did your configuration work?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything stayed intact and where you wanted it on the board?
At first.
Okay.
Yeah, at first. So about the second time I reached for my rod out of the rod holder, milk crates aren't very thick. They aren't built like they're used to be. These things are flimsy.
It's hard to steal a good milk crate these days. They're
How
not
dare
what they
you
used to be.
insinuate that I stole Dr. Gustafson's milk crate from Gustafson's milk dairy place. So my rod holder comes off. It's flopping. Now I have nowhere to put either pole. I had one under control, one kind of flopping around. Now this is 30 minutes into it. I'm flopping here. I'm like, okay. So I paddled up into shallow water. I get off into my, off my paddle board, and I'm trying to, okay, how do I fix this? I'm Rodney MacGyver.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I don't have time for that. I got a 4-hour fishing tournament. Let me just fish.
Okay.
So off I go. I'm back out into the abyss. I catch my first trout. First trout comes up. Guess what comes with it?
A flounder.
Hammerhead shark.
No way.
Way.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm trying to get my GoPro on because I want to film. I forgot I had a GoPro on my head, Mike. This is why I have a GoPro. So I'm floundering.
Wait a minute.
No pun intended.
Wait a minute. I have something that's going to help this.
Okay. Dude, it only got worse. I thought, I'm glad I'm not GoProing this. I was totally amateur on this board made me look like I was just so. So I'm wanting a video of the shark. The shark, his fin goes. They are so smart, man. His fin goes just under my board like this. Never even touches my board.
Wow.
He missed my fish. My fish came off the hook because I'm floundering around. Pun intended that time. And, he chases my fish off. It's a done deal,
Wow.
So, on we go. Okay, so first, I get the first good trout. I got it in my hands. I'm like, all right, I'm not letting this guy go. I grab my sticker. I sit down on the board, put my sticker down, flap the tackle box open with the sticker in. I put the trout there, and I get my camera out of the dry box. This is an episode, man. This is like, it's time-consuming stuff here.
How are your legs?
Oh, dude. Dude. I felt
Were
like...
they on fire at this point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. As I'm taking a picture of this fish, because this sitting down stuff is feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, you can get comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
You're in
I was
good,
like,
yeah.
okay, I can dig this.
I can fish from down here.
I'm okay with this. So I got my camera, and I'm trying to snap it. The fish flops, and I got my camera way out here. And as it's flopping, all I'm trying to do is get the fish and the sticker together.
Now the pictures you sent me are starting to make sense.
Does it make sense now?
Yeah.
So I just start snapping, and I do 2 quick bursts. It was like I held it down, it burst, and I got the tail of the trout with the sticker, which it counted, by the way. It totally counted. And I thought, this is comical. I can't make this stuff up. So, to bring this story to an end, I catch 3 or 4 more trout, and I get good pictures of them. And as I'm drifting along, now I'm a little cocky. I'm standing back up. I rear back my pole. I go to cast, and my other pole slides right out of the holder. I hooked it, and it goes flying. So I'm reeling it in, thinking, oh, my God, I'm not going to find my brand new pole, my brand new reel, $300 setup. I'm trying to get it in, I got it in, and it is just this gnarly mess. I mean, it is disgusting. And I went, okay, fishing done. That's it. So I sat down on my board and paddled. Now, as I rounded the corner to where everybody could see me that was on land, I could see people on land.
And I know what you were thinking.
I said, I got to stand up. There's no way I'm going to paddle.
Thank goodness no one can see me cry.
Exactly.
The sweat is
just
blending with the tears.
So if you're wondering if you should get a paddleboard for a good workout, yes. The answer is absolutely yes. But I caught some trout. I mean, a lot of guys came in and didn't even catch trout. So I was pretty proud
that's progress.
of what I
that's
did
progress in many ways. Your first catch on the paddleboard.
And fishing 5 hours and never fell.
With an audience and never fell. Wow.
Never fell, not even once. I got off twice on purpose.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I even got off and waited, because I was so tired. Waited a little above waist deep, and until I started seeing big bull sharks. Then I got back up on my board and just kind of paddled out. So I could see the addiction because I'm already addicted to fishing off this board. So I see a lot of that coming, in my future.
Well, obviously fitness plays a part. Not that you're not fit as a fiddle, but that leg strength, the coordination is something that even if you're healthy, doing that
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
there's definitely a curve to it.
So I got to talk to Luke and Joe, first
Yeah,
thing in the
back to
morning
the
quite a
picnic,
bit.
yeah.
So I got to talk to them. We met a lot of awesome people at Salt Strong. It was just a really cool community of outdoor families. I mean, there was families there. I had 2 kites in my truck. These 2 kids were just sitting there bored out of their minds. You know how they are. And I went to the parents. I said, look, I've got 2 brand new kites in my truck. I would love, for these guys to fly these kites. And the kids were like, oh, no way. They had never flown a kite, Mike.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Very cool.
I get it out there. The dad hooks them up. Boof, man. I'm
Very cool.
Rodney the hero for the day.
Very cool, man.
These, absolutely. So I went up to him, little kid flying a kite, and he's got the kite 500 feet in the air, and I walk up and says, man, you got that kite flying. You know what he looked at me and said, and it just broke my heart? Stranger danger, stranger danger. They had already forgot I gave him the damn kite, Mike. It's absolutely ridiculous. No respect these days.
Yeah, my mom told me don't talk to strangers, but you don't look that scary to me, Rodney.
Woo, good kids, man. We had a great time in the picnic.
So good. They had a good turnout, successful.
They had probably 150
That's great.
people. Probably 200
That's
through
great.
the day that came and went. That was absolutely awesome.
Good.
So, yeah, definitely. Congratulations, Joe and Luke. I know they didn't understand how important what they're doing is until that moment, I think. So that's a big eye-opener. I know the picnic or camping trip for us was a huge eye-opener.
Yeah.
And I know this year's camping trip is going to be absolutely jaw-dropping, I think so.
Very cool.
So, Mike, what do you got, man? I know I jabbered on.
No, well, let's do some news.
Let's do it. Hit me with
take
it.
a look in the
Hit me, baby, one more
FWC
time.
website. Here's one on just kind of a warning, watching out for actually predators on the beaches of Tampa, luring children in with kites. I don't know if that's just coincidence.
Total coincidence.
Okay.
So they may be talking about sharks in the ocean.
Okay.
Kite sharks.
That's what it was. Oh, I didn't read the whole thing. Atlantic snook
Yes.
to close in state and federal waters starting June 1st.
Yes, sir.
Recreational harvest of snook in Atlantic, state, and federal waters close on June 1st. They will reopen on September 1st. Snook is also closed for harvest in Gulf of Mexico state. Mexico state water
waters.
and federal waters,
Yes.
including Everglades National Park and Monroe County through August 31st.
So,
Again.
in the state of Florida, after June 1st, you will not be able to catch your first snook until September on either coast. So,
Yeah, now,
it's only the Atlantic
right,
until the 1st.
until the 1st. Can still catch and release.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Catch and release. You just can't fillet and release.
So don't freak out if you got one on the line, but you can't keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't call the Coast Guard. The
Yeah,
Coast Guard got myself a snook.
Let's see what else we got. Here's an interesting
I'm going to
one.
get a text over that one.
There's a webinar going on regarding the bear management.
Yes.
Discuss bear management. There's 3 time slots, one being Thursday,
Okay.
May
I
26th.
saw you looking. I'm like, do we need to go?
I was trying to think what day it was. The 31st, which is actually next Tuesday night.
Okay.
So if you want to come over early, because it's at 6 p.m.
Oh.
The 26th, May 31st, and June
Let's do that.
2nd at 6 p.m.
Oh, by the way, we're going to have a guest next week. I didn't mean to spring this
Okay.
on you on the show. Alan Beecher, the peacock fisherman out of South Florida.
Is he coming in or is he going to call in?
He's going to come in.
No way,
We
really?
got room for him.
Yeah, we'll make room.
I'm glad I put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't care. More the merrier.
I pulled his police record. Everything's fine.
Good.
We did
Take the
background
metal
check.
detectors down at the door. So anyways, yeah, so if, they're going to discuss the black bear management program and answer questions and topics. It's a good option or opportunity to get your questions answered in real time because you can interact with these guys on the on the webinars.
I say
which
we
is
do
very
that.
cool. So, I mean, it's great. They're going to talk about including bear population estimates, 2016 bear range updates, bear-wise communities. I think that probably has to do with communities that have bears in
Not
their
to stop you,
areas.
but did you see the new estimated populations?
No.
4,350
Okay.
compared to last year's 3,500.
Wow.
So We're off.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think that includes the dead bears from last year.
Wow. I would hope they didn't take those in consideration. Also, results of the 2015 limited bear hunt. I'm sure that'll be a lot of it.
Yes.
And input concerning next year's potential bear hunt. Would you like to see one? I'm sure is going to be talked about a lot.
I agree.
Also, speaking of populations in Florida, killer Nile crocodiles.
Okay, so you know what? I was going to bring that up, Mike, because obviously I got bombarded with, is this real?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Now, are you going to read this statistic or
we
what they
we
found?
can get to it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Excuse me.
What?
It's they've only found 3 in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Of which all 3 were under 2 feet long. And here was the tricky part. The DNA test of all 3 alligators, several miles apart, were from the same family.
Yeah.
So that is what's interesting.
Yeah. And they're saying, what else do they know? They're saying they don't think it escaped from a zoo.
Right. They don't think it escaped from a zoo.
It did not swim from Africa.
Yes, I got that question. Rodney, do you think it swam from Africa? No. Is it possible? I guess anything is possible. Not likely. Not saying it didn't happen, but just saying it's probably not likely to happen.
So the talk is that they have found 3 so far, caught 3, and one of them was actually caught twice. They caught it and released it.
Yes.
But they've caught 3, what do they say, West Nile?
Yeah.
West Nile
virus.
The Nile crocodiles, and we've already had American crocodiles.
Yes,
but this is actually Nile different species. So make that distinction.
The question was brought up to me, Rodney. What's the difference? And I can honestly say I don't know. I know there has to be a difference, and obviously size. But when you have 2 10-foot crocodiles, the American and the Nile, I'd like to see them side by side.
Well, here's a couple things that on the FWC website.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Then I will shut up.
No, it's good. It's a good segue. Let's see. They're believed. Let me get to the good stuff here. Crocodiles and alligators have subtle differences. Makes them easy to identify.
Well, I know alligators and crocodiles have differences.
What did I say?
Crocodiles and alligators.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
you go.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know the difference between the Nile and the American.
Okay.
But just so people listening, this
is
the difference between crocodiles and alligators. Brownish yellow. Crocodiles are brownish yellows, as opposed to like a blackish green on the alligators. They have the angled snouts. You go, Rodney. What do you know? Teeth.
Yeah, the teeth. If you look at the crocodile's teeth, they're very gnarly, and the alligator's teeth are nice and all on the outside. Very neat.
Yeah, I think that's a distinguishing.
Yeah.
When the mouth is closed.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
On the crocodile, you can still see all the teeth.
Right. The crocodile looks like the homeless man on the corner, and of course, the alligator looks like any Joe Schmo walking down the street. It's normal. So, the size of the head and the color is the main thing that you can point him out real fast. The pointy nose.
Pointy nose, I think, is probably a big one.
Yeah.
Because it says here, the teeth are exposed with their mouths shut as closed. But even in the
on
diagram we're showing here, you can still see them both. But you've mentioned that to me before. You can see, is it more, the teeth are more pronounced?
You can see bottom and top teeth. Like if you see on that one, you see you see the forward teeth a little more than the alligators. So, I mean, it's a distinguishable difference. Trust me, if you're any time in Florida and you've seen so many alligators, whether you know the difference or not, when you and I drove by that crocodile that we saw, I strictly saw the color. I saw his mouth open, and I thought that was cool to see an alligator with a mouth open. But the color struck me almost instantly. And then I looked at you, my gosh, I think I just saw a crocodile. So, I mean, it just hit me that quick.
And that probably was an American, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what I want to know.
We might not know.
Did me and you see an American crocodile, or did we see a Nile crocodile?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do some research. So far, everything leads to American. We'll take the American.
Did you hear about this?
I did hear about this, and I tried to get them on the show. I tried to contact FWC. I tried to do whatever we could to get these guys on the show. This young man caught the state record
I will read this because they did a.
Go ahead.
They did a. Amber Neighbors did a good job of writing this article. Charles Patchen, 13 years old, from Alabama,
Old Patchy.
caught a 63.8-pound flathead catfish on the Chattahoochee River in Jackson County.
That is awesome.
Beat the previous certified state record by more than 8 pounds. Let's see. He had reluctantly agreed to go bream fishing on Sunday afternoon with his mother and his stepfather, Jeanette and Brian Artwell. When the bream suddenly stopped biting after a successful morning. Brim. What did I say?
Bream.
Bream. You're so. What?
You say tomato and I'll say tomato.
It's BREAM is how they're spelling it. So you can. That's a big fish. But when they stopped biting, he suggested Patchen's stepfather suggested there might be a larger fish lurking in the water, scaring off the brim. So they switched from baiting with minnows to a bluegill they had caught. After the second time his bait hit the water, Patchen set the hook, and he assumed it was hooked up on something under the water.
Look at the size of that
So
fish,
he asked his stepfather for help. The stepfather said, I grabbed the pole from him, gave it a couple tugs, and the fish took off. He said, I handed the pole back to Charles and said, go get him. So his hooked him on a Zebco 33.
Oh, right on.
With a 14-pound test line for nearly 2 hours.
Wow.
While Atwell, guided their boat with his trolling motor, following the fish in hopes that it would tire out. The monster flathead catfish eventually gave up the fight, and they reeled it in after the fish flipped over, and they had to roll it into the boat because it was too large for the net. And he said, I'm glad my mom made me go fishing that day because now I am the catfish master.
Absolutely the master. You know what's funny is I tell everybody, absolutely everybody, that if you catch a fish and you go, wow, that's huge, look up the record and see what it is because you might have the state record.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure at one point we've all let the state record go. You know.
Well, it's interesting because they have a link on their website. Let me click on here somewhere, Rodney. That if you want to see what the other state records, I think there's 33. I just lost it.
Yeah, I mean, you got
different fish.
Yeah.
Let's just throw a couple out there. What's the largemouth bass? Do you know what the record
17 pound. There's official and unofficial.
Okay.
The official is 17.27, I believe it, or 17.40. Am I close? And then
No, you're not close. You're exactly right.
Okay.
17.27.
Okay. How I roll, Michael. I'm chasing that fish, by the way. And then the unofficial is 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So now, let me tell you what the difference is. The official is when a game warden comes out or someone officiates it on official scales. And then the unofficial is when it's seen by many people, but it's really not an official scale. So, you know, you can easily get the unofficial. So
because they have to come out and weigh and do the
exactly.
thing. And how's that work? Like when it's the day afterwards? I think on the catfish it was the day afterwards that they came out and took.
Well,
these measurements.
he lost weight. The fish, no doubt, lost weight. They probably kept him in a cooler.
Okay.
But in the most part, he probably lost a little weight. I mean, he beat it by 8 pounds. So you know, whatever weight he lost, it's going to be a long time for that record. So go ahead, hit us with another one.
Trying to see what the asterisk is here. Uncertified record.
Yeah, exactly.
That the 17.27 was certified.
Yes.
Uncertified largemouth bass, which by the way was 1923.
Yeah,
it's hard to document.
I know that's.
Dude, where's the Polaroid?
Come on.
Man.
Yeah,
20.13.
Yeah. So you kind of want to have
black crappie.
Black crappie, man, that's a tough one. I think it's like
roll
6
dice.
pounds.
It's actually 3.83.
3.83.
3.83.
Okay.
Let's take a small one. Bluegill.
1.5.
Close. 2.9.
2.9. Okay.
Let's go up a little. Let's go bigger. Let's go find something bigger.
Okay. Gar.
Gar. Here it is, but they spell it blue catfish. Blue catfish is 69.50. Oh, alligator gar. Here we go. Alligator gar.
129.
Wow, close. 123.
Oh, really? Okay.
Again on the Choctawachi.
Choctawachi.
Yeah, you got to fish with the engine. Here.
Choctawachi,
Butterfly
8.5.
peacock bass.
Ooh, 8 pounds.
Close. 9.08.
Okay. I knew
Kendall Lakes, Dade County, down south, right?
South Florida is where
That's
they're
where
at.
you got to go.
Where they're at. We're going to get our first peacock, by the way.
That would be very, very cool. Get your first peacock standing on a paddleboard.
Oh, dude. Not with the crocodile.
Not with the
I won't do it. I got to draw the line somewhere, Michael Cole.
But anyways, that's what I've got for top news, Mr. Rogers. You want to do some mail?
Let's do it.
Do
I want
you
to do
want-
some mail.
You've got mail.
We get letters. We get stuff.
Whoa, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Send me an email with all the details.
Another freaking email. Another freaking email song.
Mail time. Mail time. Mail's here.
Yeah, I'm a top flight, hold you tight, get you there by daylight, do you right overnight mail.
Sorry, I do my own little act.
You did. I heard that rattle in your head was like a maraca. And your little maraca going on right there. It's good. All right, Rodney, you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Question number 1 from Shannon in Christmas, Florida says, do all fish have a lateral line?
Yes. Well, yeah, all fish have a lateral line to some degree. They all have that same effect of the lateral line. You can see it in 99% of the fish that you see out there. They have it in some degree. So, yeah, you just got to look at it. I mean, honestly, if you just pay attention, you'll see a lateral line in there. In all
Are
fish.
some more visible?
Yes, some are way
than
more
others?
prominent than others. You know, the colors are not the lateral lines. You actually see the line. The
Oh, that's a
scales
good-
are different shapes.
Oh, interesting point.
Yeah, the scales are different shapes, and you know, there's
It's not just the coloring in the skin. There's actually a physical.
physical line straight down the body. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll look up some lateral lines and weird fish that we didn't know had them.
Yeah.
Like catfish. It's hard to see, but they got so you know it's just you got to be able to distinguish what they are.
And that's
yeah.
basically a sense of the fish, right? One of its
Well,
senses.
This goes back to why fish see at night. That lateral line is everything.
Yeah.
They don't need eyeballs. That lateral line picks up even the slightest, minute vibrations, and they can hone in just like a shark because it's on both sides. It goes all the way up to their head, and they can pinpoint, not like echolocation, but
Okay.
kind of like echolocation. You know what I mean?
But it's a sonar radar, but based on vibrations, I
That's
guess,
it.
something like that.
That's it. And
Okay.
man, are they absolutely proficient with that.
All right, next question, Mr. Rogers. Is there a best time of the day to use a top water lure?
There is. There's 2 times. Evenings and mornings are usually the best time. You will have those moments in middays where they're great. So, you know, don't be afraid to toss it at the most, what you would think is the most inopportune times. I was fishing with our buddy Hector the other day, and we were fishing a lake that had a lot of fish. So I tried some things that I normally wouldn't try in new areas, but I knew there was a lot of fish there, so I went to the wacky rig for a while.
Okay.
You know, rattle trap for a while. You know, so I tried some things just a little bit different that I wouldn't normally try in that clarity of water.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knew there was a lot of fish, and I just kind of wanted to think outside the box and try a few different baits. One of them, you know, the rattle trap didn't work. The red eye shad was as productive as I thought it was going to be, so I really didn't use a whole lot of that. And the wacky worm was way more productive than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So it was pretty cool. So the key to having a big tackle box is don't be afraid to try the tackle that you already have. Even though it's not the most opportune time,
Sure.
you're not catching fish on nothing else,
Yeah.
on your favorite lure, try something different. That's the key.
And top water, I guess, from because obviously you're mimicking when the bugs are landing on the water, right?
Well, yeah, you're that, and you're mimicking. You know, if you're using a popper or something like that, you're mimicking a smaller fish chasing a bigger fish chasing a smaller fish.
gotcha.
Yeah, basically, what anything in top water does is causes reaction strikes. That's
Also,
a reaction
I
lure.
would assume that basically water temperature, the fish in the evening and the morning is going to be closer to the top where the sun gets warmer.
Yeah, and they'll be a
gonna
little
go
bit
deeper?
shallower,
Okay.
a little more oxygen. So pay attention to temperature and pay
Okay.
attention to water temperature. And yeah, absolutely, that's the 100% case.
Okay, that's a good question from Shiny Side Up. I like that.
Ooh, that's what I'm
Shiny
talking.
side up.
Old shiny side up.
All right, Rodney, another question. If you only had one spice for cooking fish, what would it be?
Lemon pepper,
Really?
absolutely.
Goes with everything?
It goes with everything from chicken to fish to. I mean, to me, it's absolute. I go through a couple bottles in a month. You know,
And sometimes that all you put on your fish?
that's in most cases that's all I put on my fish is just lemon pepper, and I use the grinder. It makes you look more official as a chef.
Okay.
You know, it looks real.
It's like
When you
the guys at Kobe's when they just bang things because it makes
Yeah.
them look more.
Yeah,
they're doing
when
more.
there's nobody in the house, I just grab it out of the old shaker and put it down. But if somebody's in the house,
Sure.
man, I got my little smock
yeah.
on. And I
Absolutely. You know,
It's the grinding, man. Grinding makes you look
perception is everything.
real, Mike.
That's cool, man. Well, again, a good question from Don from Freeport, Arkansas.
Come on, Don, Freeport, Arkansas.
That's good. So you just lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper, man, is absolutely my favorite spice.
Okay.
So especially for fish. If you've never tried it, give it a shot.
What else? What else do you use?
I like blackened seasoning, like
Okay.
a Cajun. I have a homemade Cajun spice that I sprinkle over it. That I really love, but I like that on redfish.
Okay.
I mean, each fish to me has its own attitude or its own character.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I get one I'm mad at, I'll put hot sauce on it. I want I'm not so mad at,
Sure.
I'll put sugar
Yeah.
on it. You know what I mean? Put some
Sweet.
sugar.
No, sugar and spice.
No, that's it. Teriyaki's usually good sometimes. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was noticing, Rodney, you brought some show and tell, or you got some
I did. And
broken
here's how we're gonna.
cleaning out your truck, or something
Here's a
going on
question that I got, and I want to give a little shout out to two of our
here. All right.
favorite listeners. Are you ready?
Ready.
Little Jersey girl and little Easton. They sit by the little computer and they watch us every Tuesday. Hey guys, so basically here's the question that I got, you know, from our buddy Hector. He's chasing this proverbial 10-pound bass. Now I used to chase that same fish. It took me years to get into that 10-pound club. Once I got to it, my uncle gave me a couple words of advice. He says, 2 ways you're going to get a 10-pound bass. One is slow down. He says, you know, those top waters, all this speedy, fancy stuff you're doing, it will catch big fish, but not as often. So his advice was slow down. So I did. Okay, I slowed down, and it worked. Caught my first bass that was over 10 pounds happened to be 13. So I started slowing down after that, and then I started losing a lot of fish. I'm like, I'll go back to Uncle, you know, but hey, y'all, you know, I'm losing a lot of fish. And he's going, his first words was, how many times did you set the hook? I'm like, what do you mean? You know, I set the hook one time. I'm a hook setting, you know, proficionado. He goes, well, set it again. And when you have it out, set it again. And
What do you mean by set it?
And here's what it means. So if you get a bite on on your hook, if anybody's seen me fish, I set the hook when I set that hook first, man, it's a jerker, you know, and sometimes it breaks my line. That's why I use braided line. I crank my drag as far to zero as it can. These are bass, not tuna. They're not going to run 900 yards, and I'm using 50-pound test line. They're not breaking my line. It's just not going to happen. Every once in a while. And then when I set the hook, a couple things in a hook set. It's the spine of your rod.
Okay.
It's the drag set in your reel. So if you have a weak spine and a loose drag, well, that's just going to barely hook the fish. So it gives them a chance to knock it out. And there's nothing wrong with that, but set it again. Set it a couple more times. Hector lost what we think was definitely a giant fish. I'd caught a 7-pounder a little bit earlier, and this thing that he missed was just came out of the water chasing his lure.
Ouch.
And he even said the whole time, I didn't, oh my gosh, I know he just don't have it. I don't feel like there was a good hook set. Now in my head, I wanted to say out loud, set the hook, set it again, set it again. But sometimes as a fisherman, you need to hush kind of thing. Let the man really,
Sure.
I didn't want to be the cause of this thing breaking loose or whatever the case may be. So I didn't, because at that point, he would have listened to anything because he wanted that fish. I didn't want to be the one to lose it. So I've never lost a fish setting the hook 2 or 3 times. I really have. I can't remember if I have. I'm sure I may have, but I just don't remember. So my advice would have been, when he's reeling it, set the hook again. Just give it another jerk, and that will, hang it in there. If it was loose or going to come out, it's going to come out anyway. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So my thing is, and that's where these reels come in, it's a good gear ratio that gets the fish in quick, and it allows me to set the hook hard. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, because the question came is, what does gear ratio have to do with the hook set? And why does that affect I thought it was all in the pole or the line or.
Yeah, I
or-
never really thought about this till a couple weeks ago. I think we mentioned something about it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, and it just it all becomes gets to the point where what am I doing wrong? So my first advice is set the hook more than one time. If you're not comfortable with it setting it 35 times like I do, just do twice, do 2 or 3 times, because if the hook is barely there with all the thrashing and being so far out there, it's going to kick off anyway. So my feeling is I'd rather get kicked off by setting a hook 2 or 3 times versus me thinking I did something wrong.
That's actually a really good point, because I never really would have thought to set it. I mean, because you think you've got it, you set it.
You start
and
reeling.
You might not.
Yeah, it may just have a hold of the lure and the hook is not in a position to be set, or where it's actually hooking him, because they'll hang on pretty tight. I've snatched fish out of the water when they didn't have nothing. You saw, I've caught them just on the rubber.
And if it's not a solid hook in the first place, you could yank it out, but you're probably going to lose that anyways.
That's my point. You're probably going to lose it anyway. So that's where where I was going to come in. When you buy a reel, what you're going to see is, in these reels, what's going to happen is you're going to get a gear ratio with the reel, and then you're going to get a line, how much line it's going to hold. So it's going to have all that information. A lot of times, on the bail itself, right on the spool, it'll tell you that it'll hold.
Does that one have it?
This one has everything we need. It has. We can hold at 8-pound test line, which I have braided line, which is 8-pound thickness, 30-pound strength, and I can hold 240 yards. 2.5 football fields that fish can go. Now, I've never had a bass run 2.5 football fields. I've only had them go about 5.5 feet.
How far have you had a shark run?
Long. 2.5 football fields. Might I add, that shark wore me out on that second football field. And then, so here's where the gear ratio is. This is a 6-1 to 1 now. I know what you're thinking. Rodney, what does that mean? That means for every one rotation, so let me do that one more time. You can see the bail here.
Oh, this is good.
You can see the handle. Watch. So as I turn it, here, let me get it up to the top. So I'm at the top. I want you to count how many times you see that point.
Got
it.
Got it.
So I'm going to go real slow. Okay.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 5.5.
Yeah,
looks like
it's right back to that point. It comes out to a little 5, right at 6.
Okay.
So which means for every one time this handle turns, this bail spins 6 times and reels the line in. Guess how far? So the line will move from here to here. How far do you think that is on one spin?
3 inches.
28 inches.
No way.
So every one turn, 28 inches.
Oh, for every. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
for every one turn of this handle.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. 3 inches here.
Okay.
So there's 30 inches, 30 inches, 30 inches, 30 inches, 30 inches. The fish is at your feet. That's the key. So for me, I like those reels that are 6-1 and above. There's 7-1, there's 8-1, and it goes as high as 9-1.
So, and above would mean you're getting more distance per crank.
You're getting more distance per crank. Now, when you get into some of them...
Now, that one's... So is it fixed? That's a fixed number.
That's a fixed number. These are non-adjustable. This is that ratio, and it's going to stay that ratio. So...
Okay. Are there ones that are varying?
Yes, but you're offshore reels.
Okay.
You're gear changing in your reels, which we're going to get into.
Okay.
This is going to go quick. So let me squeeze it in as much as I can. We got 15 minutes. So for me, I want something. If I'm going to use a topwater bait, I want something that's going to move it across the topwater real fast. If you have a 4-5 to 1 or a 5-5, let's forget the point. It's 4.5, so it's 4.5.
Yeah, we're not
even worried about the point. So if you got a 4 to 1 or a 5 to 1, then you're going to do a lot more cranking and you're going to move them a lot slower. This is where the circle hook comes in. When you're fishing with a circle hook, you want a lot. So you want a 7, 8, 9 to 1.
Because that keeps tension on the line.
Keeps tension on the line, brings the fish up fast, and allows the hook to set itself. Because remember, you don't set a hook on a circle hook. You reel. The faster you reel, remember when we went offshore?
Yeah.
The faster you reel, the better the hook set's going to be.
Okay.
So we lost fish. We reeled in just a hook
Yeah.
because we didn't set it. We didn't reel fast
Sure.
enough. Because you heard the captain going, reel, 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 reel. So that's the key. So when I use a lot of these for offshore, fishing, intercoastals and stuff like that and offshore. So I like the 6 and above. It moves baits real fast, and it moves the hook real fast. So when you get into the smallers, like my bait casters, this is a 100B Calcutta. This is a 5.5 to 1. So for every one here, I get 5 turns of this spool. So it moves a little less, quite as fast. My 200s will go 6.2 to 1. So the bigger the reel, sometimes a little bit faster it goes.
Wait, so a 5 to 1?
It's the same thing. So every time this makes one rotation, the spool on the inside spins 5 times.
Okay.
But it's a smaller spool, so it doesn't bring in as
Okay.
much line. So we're in
5%.
that 16 to
Okay.
18 range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but sometimes they're even better. This is called a coreless Shimano, and I'm a big Shimano guy. I've got 6 reels here, all Shimano, 7 reels, all Shimano, but we got one pin here, which is a 6 to 1 as well. So this one is a 5. So this is an older 5 to 1. There again, it moves those baits real slow, so you got to crank real hard, so your arms actually get tired.
Application for that.
Application for this is a slow-moving spinnerbait, and that's why people go,
Okay.
how do I adjust my reel to my? That's why Rodney Rogers has so many reels, because I have certain reels. Most people will see, well, you wasn't using that rod a minute ago. Well, this one has a little bit higher gear ratio, and I'm fishing with a different bait.
So there's more to it than just once you have the fish on the line. It's the actual working the lure
Absolutely.
aspect of it as well.
It's working the lure aspect. If you're crankbaiting down deep and low, you want a very low gear ratio. You want a 6 or less. You know what I mean? You want that bait down low, and you want it to move nice and slow. Unless you're fishing with a rattle trap, then you want it, kind of high and moving fast. So, these are the things that you learn.
Well, it's interesting
over
because
the-
by watching somebody fish and how fast they're cranking, might not tell you how fast that lure's moving through the water.
Right, because your slow fishing may be different than my slow fishing. And maybe after your slow fishing.
Yeah.
And if I have a higher speed gear ratio, I may not be able to get mine slow enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
me, it may just be
Yeah.
super crawling, because if I'm fishing with a 7 to 1, then, you're kind of, it's moving slow is not possible.
Is there a factor where that the ratio of the gear ratio you would want it so slow not because of the bait you're fishing with, but because of the size or the weight of the fish? Would that make a difference at
No.
all, or is that kind of a
here's
move factor once you got them hooked?
That would be a factor offshore. If we've got a fish, 200 feet deep like we had, our gear ratios on those reels down there are normally very low. When I say low, I mean 3 or 4 to 1.
Okay.
And what that is, that's cranking power. That's a
Sure.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you've seen, we've got to pull those big fish off that bottom. So, not necessarily having that fast crank is going to get bias anything.
Yeah, if it was too high, you wouldn't be able to make one revolution on it. You would.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to spin our wheels. So we need that low cranking power to get that fish up. So that's where that would come in. And that's why they have some of those reels that do change gears
Sure.
right in the middle, So there's some with 2 speeds. They're called 2-speed, drop rigs. So that's where that would come in. So, but your most variable will be on your spinning tackle,
Okay.
which are these. And then, of course, we have some of these, the bait casters that are up there in the 7, 8, 9 range, and a lot of your pros go to those faster, because here's the deal. pro fishing is strictly odds. If I make 100 casts, I should get 10 fish. That's 10% catch ratio.
Okay.
You know, versus making
Sure.
10 casts and getting one fish. You know what I mean?
It's a numbers game.
I mean, yeah, it's a numbers game. Those two numbers are technically the same, but the ratios are. So, I mean, but it's a numbers game. You know, he's going to cast 500 times. You know, where I may cast, when I'm fishing with someone, I may cast 50% less and actually catch 50% less. It looks like I'm catching less fish, but technically the other person is casting twice as much and catching twice as much fish. Sizes may be different. You know what I mean? I may be catching bigger fish, or they may be catching bigger fish. We you know, it's just that ratio.
Is there a standard on that? Is there a standard?
No.
Off the rack is a 6-to-1, kind of a middle of the road, or where's a middle
yeah,
ground?
it's at
at
5
least?
and 6 to 1 is that
Okay.
middle of the road.
Okay.
That would be, if there was a standard like you're asking. Yes, that would be.
What's the Zebco 202?
They're like in the 4 and 5
Okay.
range, 4 or 5 to 1, 4 and 5 range. So, you know, and that's why we just see a reel and we go, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, here I have a Stratic. Now, the reason I have I've bought my first reel in very many years is because this is this is a Stratic. This is almost a $300 reel, and I have 3 of them. But they're 20 years old. I still use them today.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that tells you they're a little bit noisier than they were when they were new, you know, but they still do the job. They have what's called ARBs, and that's anti-rusting bearings. Oh, we got a phone call.
See if I remember how to work this thing, Rodney.
You got it? You got to figure it out? So they have anti-rusting barrels. Thank you for calling Rodney Rogers Outdoors. This is Rodney.
What's up?
Hey, Mike, I want you to meet Hector.
Hector,
How you doing, Mike?
good, mine. Why don't we
Well,
just-
good, man.
Good, I'm doing
Apparently
fine,
you're
thank
a
you.
Mayan,
Good
Hector.
old Mike.
Hector, how are you, brother? So hopefully, I mean, I don't know if you got to hear us answer some of the questions about ratios and hook sets and all that good stuff. Did that help you at all?
Yeah. Actually, I got good reels. It was like I said. I got thinking this morning while I lost that big fish. I was just trying to put everything down to science, and I figured it had to be the bull, because ever since I bought this bull, or ever since I got this bull, I've been losing fish left and right. So
And
it got to be the bull.
the spine of the pole makes all the difference in the world as well. It just if you imagine fishing with a king pole or a rubber band, you know what I mean. Try to set the hook with a rubber band, you got a lot of flex, just not a lot of hook set power. But when you're fishing with a let's say a steel rod, and then of course you got big massive hook set power. So it's certainly a big difference. So Hector, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. You have a fishing website as well.
Yeah, I got a Facebook. It's called
Yeah,
Prime Time Bass Grind. Basically, I put up videos of it's a small clip of what I've done fishing, or if I fish with somebody,
Right, like
I just put it up.
you put up a video of you and I last night, which I thought was absolutely awesome. And you did.
I actually messed up.
Yeah, I saw. I clicked on a link and it said not available, and I'm like, uh-oh, something went wrong.
Yeah, it was the type of music I really wanted to use, but I didn't know I didn't know it was a copyrighted one, so I took it down.
Oh, okay.
I got that message, and I don't want to get trolled by Facebook, so I took
yeah.
it down, redid the music, and I had to switch a couple things around because everything on that footage was right at like it'll match the song.
Oh, yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly.
I laughed. That was brilliant.
But, so I had to take some parts out and put it back in.
He did also the one where I dropped the fish off the
That's
hook.
the one I saw.
Yeah, that's the
That
one you
was
saw.
so
Okay.
funny.
Yeah, the one last night was pretty awesome. So Hector also does he has a YouTube profile where he does a lot of gun. You did some gun reviews on there as well.
Yeah, I done firearms and ammunition. I actually had a sponsor. I don't know if I know they call me. You ever heard of Oath Ammunition?
No, I hadn't.
No, I actually did a review. I did it on my own the first time. I just bought the bullets, and I really wanted to see what
What they
what
did,
they could
yeah,
do.
exactly.
And yeah, so the owner, saw it and just contacted me and started telling me, a whole bunch of ammunition, to do reviews, and they came out with this new slug for 12 gauge. I'm still waiting on.
Yeah.
But yeah, they was sending me that so I could do a review on that one.
Slugs are big deals. So you got fishing in your plans coming up? You got any fishing in your plans?
I'm going back to catcher.
Right on.
That's for sure.
he's
I was. Did you see the way I was?
Oh yeah. You were shook up.
When I first lost her, I didn't know whether should I jump in or I fell back though.
If that's ever a question, it's always jump in. But at one point he caught another big fish and he thought he lost it. He threw his pole down and walked away, and I watched his pole take off across the sand.
Oh yeah. You had a ball on that one.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, we're gonna be.
Oh yeah. My advice real quick before I hang up.
Absolutely.
If you got something to say while I'm reeling that fish in,
go ahead and say it. You got it.
I'll do whatever it takes.
You got it, brother.
Throw a grenade in there, give me the grenade, I'll throw it in there.
I'll promise I'll open my mouth next time.
All right.
All right, my brother. Thank you for calling.
Hector, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, no. Nice to meet you, Mike.
All right, my man. We'll see you later, buddy.
Bye. All right, bye.
Yeah, I met Hector. He's a road ranger, and the guy that saves your life.
I love those guys.
Yes, many times
Hats
I
off
have
to them
been saved.
for reals. I mean, that's a cool thing that Florida's doing.
So if you're ever approached by a road ranger, ask
Actually,
him if
is it State Farm?
Yeah, State Farm.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, woo doggy. So I've been saved by the road ranger.
That's great.
Hector's a lot of fun to fish with, man. A definitely awesome guy.
Yeah, go. What's his YouTube channel? Because people need to go and check that out. Because
it's a Hollow Point HP.
Okay.
On YouTube, and then he has the Facebook, Primetime Bass Grind.
But he takes little clips of video, and the music and interjections that he does is really funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually really funny.
Yeah.
And that's too bad because you get caught in the music copyright thing, and it can really kill your mojo. But keep on plugging, Hector, because you've got a really creative genius mind on that stuff.
Yeah,
it's funny stuff.
He jammed it out. The video he did of us last night fishing, I thought
I'll have to see that one. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, because we kept turning the GoPro off because you never know when you're going to catch fish, or you can burn 100 hours.
Sure, yeah.
And 5 batteries. So he was just kind of catching little pieces and clips, and then he got the big fish I caught. He caught a clip of that, so it was actually really cool. So you can check it out, on our Facebook or wherever.
Randy says awesome topic, by the way.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, Randy's just getting into this fishing thing, so I mean he would definitely.
I'll second that as well. This is because there's a lot of information that you just don't know, or you don't, markings on there, they mean something, and we're digging in deeper, and because these things was eye-opening for me tonight. I'm so
absolutely,
glad you brought
and this is an unscathed topic, and I'm sure if you look on YouTube, and we may do a YouTube video, that there's probably, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that there's probably a big to-do of fishing
Well,
gears.
this is probably an intermediate topic, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Beginners don't need to worry about gear ratios and stuff.
No, that's exactly right.
And I'm sure there's much more advanced topics, so I think this is probably a safe intermediate topic, but a great place to start chewing on some deeper stuff.
Exactly. If you're going to get serious, I mean, these are things that always play, and if you're ever fishing with me and you see me pull out a different rod, look at my lure, and you'll see that I'm most likely changing up on fishing different lures.
And once you have a little more information behind you, these type of moments are aha moments.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know enough now that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I can see where that advantage would play out or not.
And as I told my daughter many times, when setting the hook, if there's any doubt of a bite or whatever, set the hook hard and set it often.
Mm-hmm.
And your fish catch ratio will improve tenfold, man. How close are we, Mike? We're running out of time, ain't we?
We are done, done, Rodney.
Mike, we have anything coming up? Anything? You've got shoulder
Yeah, I
surgery
do.
coming up.
That I do.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
Send prayers, everybody.
12:30. You know what? It's just one of those getting old things. Got
Yeah.
rotator cuff going on, and I mean everybody's. I'm not nervous. It's just got to get
Yeah,
done. It's a
it's just gotta
recovery
get done.
process. So the good news is it's my left arm. So next week's show, I'm still
Able to
still
move
good
around.
here.
But
In
the week
July,
after-
well,
July,
in
we're gonna
July,
have to
I'm
switch
back to
sides.
back. So we'll think about that. We might get strategic on that.
Yeah, yeah.
We might trade places in that time in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. But yeah, it's a good topic tonight, Rodney.
Well,
really
right
good
on,
topic.
man. Thank you. I know you and I talked about it, and I definitely wanted to bring it up. And it came at a perfect time because Hector had asked me, what am I doing wrong? What's my hook set? And all of this plays when you're after a goal. Like me, I'm 165 into my 365 fish. I have exactly 200 fish left to catch in the year. We're coming into the summertime. It's going to get a lot harder. So my fish catch is going to come down, and come fall, they're going to get easy to catch again. So I'm going to make up all the difference, all the time in the fall. I'm excited. It's actually I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure I've done it before. I just never counted
Interesting strategy that starts playing out when
it.
you
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy, for giving us that idea. I still credit her to that,
Still like to get Amy on. I'm going to call her myself if you don't get her on the show.
She said
gonna be
anytime
like, "Who
I
is
meant
this?"
to
And-
tell you. So her and I talked, I don't know, about a month ago, and So
So next week we're going to talk peacock bass, right?
next week we're gonna have Alan Beecher.
That'll be great.
We'll
That'll
have
be
Alan Beecher sitting on the show with us. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
He's up for some vacation. I'm going to be taking him fishing over the
Very
weekend. That's going to be fun because he's going to get me my first peacock. I'm pretty confident he is, and I'm hoping you're there
I'm
to
going to
film
be so
it.
excited for you, Rodney.
Or somebody
We've talked
will,
about this
because
way too long, yeah.
You'll be all bandaged up like this right here. That'll be exciting. So you guys stay tuned. We got so much more exciting stuff. Next week maybe we'll talk about rods, the spines, what the numbers means, medium, heavy, light. What rod am I using and why am I using it?
Remember, it's only an hour show.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mikey, anything else?
I do not,
As
Rodney.
my mama said 18 trillion times, and I pray to the Lord himself. I get to say it half as much. Now you kids get your butts outside and stay.